Well, Mulan has certainly not been having the best start. So there's a lot of stuff that I could talk about regarding the new live-action Mulan movie. There's a lot of different controversies about this movie. First of all, it came out on Disney Plus for an extra $30. Now, I've been told that it will eventually be free and included on the Disney Plus service, but basically the extra $30 is to see it first. People who are reviewing the movie, or people who are like die-hard Disney fans who have to see every Disney movie that comes out immediately, those are the people who will be paying the $30. But all the regular people are probably just going to wait until it's included on the Disney Plus service. There are also some theaters who are open to watch the movie, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people are going to theaters risking getting Corona-chan to watch this movie. So far, I think the number that they have out there now is that it's made $6 million from theaters. It costed like $200 million to make, so... But who knows how much they're making for Disney Plus, because they have not released those numbers yet. I don't mind paying to watch movies digitally, but I think the digital prices have been pretty ridiculous, because they essentially charge you like full movie price to buy it just on digital, when you could pay that same price to buy the physical copy that includes the digital. It doesn't make any sense. But I understand that in Mulan's case, some people will be willing to pay a high price just to watch it first. So to some extent, maybe it makes sense, but it's still more than what you would pay if you just went to theaters to watch it. Reviews have been coming out for Mulan, and a lot of them, surprisingly, are negative. No, I'm not actually surprised. That was a joke. A lot of these live-action remakes have been getting a lot of negative reviews because they don't hold up to the original cartoon, unfortunately. And they're not unique enough to stand out on their own. In Mulan's case, they did try to make a lot of changes, and a lot of those changes were heavily critiqued for making it worse instead of better. One of the most primary changes is they took out Mushu because they claimed that he was unrealistic and that they were going for a more gritty version of Mulan. And then they proceeded to add magic into the movie. Mulan straight up has superpowers. She has chi powers, and it essentially makes it so that she's good at everything. She's just like really good at fighting, and she can float. So her superpower is being a Mary Sue. And obviously I don't like Mary Sues. A lot of people don't like Mary Sues, so that was hit with very heavy critique, especially in comparison to the original cartoon where she actually had to work and use her brains to get further ahead. And now this movie is just teaching little girls that you must be born special in order to achieve your dreams. Using your brain, working hard? Nah. You need superpowers. But I do also know a lot of people who have enjoyed the movie, and good on you guys. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should watch the movie, especially when I have not watched the movie myself. I only know these things because of different people's plot analyses. I'm not a fan of those changes that they've decided to make, so I'm going to avoid this movie. Oh, there's another thing that I wanted to mention. This movie has a PG-13 rating, and I don't know why. I mean, granted, it takes place during a war, but there's like apparently no blood, nothing brutal in this movie whatsoever. And even the cartoon had blood, so it's a little bit questionable. So the current controversy now facing Mulan, after we got all the reviews out of the way, now there's a new something controversial about this movie. This movie has a interesting relationship with China. Now, it makes sense that Disney would want this movie to best represent China and, make the Chinese audience happy, but going back from when this movie was first announced, China didn't even want this movie. They were straight up saying that, hey, we already made our own movies about Mulan in live action that are like really good. People should be watching our movies instead of these Disney movies who don't even know what they're talking about. They're not even Chinese. That was basically China's perspective on this whole thing. And people who have watched the movie have said that this movie tries very hard to project Chinese nationalism. A lot of Chinese pride is going down in this movie, which just makes sense in general because it's a movie about war, and in war, you theoretically should love your country if you're fighting for it, otherwise the whole plot just falls through. But Disney has had a long-going record of trying to cater to the Chinese audience because they bring in a lot of income. One of the more recent examples of that has been how they handled the Star Wars. They censored a lesbian kiss in one of the movies, and they've also minimized Finn's appearance on one of their posters for the Chinese audience because China, it's not very tolerant. Now, I will say it does make sense for people to localize movies from a business standpoint, but it does also kind of show how Disney is a little bit full of shit when they talk about representation and all of this, virtuous speeches that they give to us while they're purposely censoring their movies and trying to please the Chinese government. So the first controversy with China was when China was like, we don't want you to make a Mulan movie, we don't want to see your Mulan movie, we made our own Mulan movies that are better because we're China. And then the actress who is actually playing Mulan in this movie showed support for the Hong Kong police. She was against the protesters while they were trying to protest against the Chinese government. And this was when the hashtag Boycott Mulan started. I mean, there was another wave of Boycott Mulan after this came out, but this is where it started. It started because the actress showed support for the Hong Kong police over the protesters. She took a political side as far as the Chinese politics went, and that caused a lot of outrage in Hong Kong. Now we hear the publicity department of the Chinese Communist Party is getting a special thanks at the end of the Mulan movie. Now here's the Twitter post that brought a lot of attention to this. Mulan specifically thanked the publicity department of CPC Xinjiang, I'm not going to pretend like I know how to pronounce these things. I know I don't. Autonomous Region Committee in the credits, the place where cultural genocide is currently happening. They filmed extensively in Xinjiang, where the subtitles call Northwest China. Okay, so people are calling out the special thanks. In the subtitles, it says that they're thanking Northwest China, but they are specifically thanking the CPC. Since 2014, the CCP has actively sought to forcefully synthesize the region's people through the use of authoritarian methods such as re-education camps, forced sterilization, and hard labor camps, otherwise known as concentration camps. And that's basically how a lot of people are spreading this news. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Mulan is filming in concentration camps, Mulan is thanking concentration camps. This is not a good look for Disney, and it's definitely not. This has given a lot of fuel to the hashtag Boycott Mulan movement. And even the people who were watching this movie before this new controversy broke out, even those people were saying that the movie wasn't that great. It was pretty mediocre, and mediocre isn't exactly a compliment. Like I said, I understand that some people have enjoyed the movie, and I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should watch it. That's all up to you guys. It just seems like they tried really hard to bend over backwards to the Chinese government, specifically the government, and it didn't pay off in the end. People are really mad at Disney right now. Even more so, they didn't make that much money from China. Like, I hear that they made about $6 million from the theater runs, but I hear that they only made something like $200,000 from specifically China, which is not good at all. And a lot of China very openly said that they weren't for this movie, that they didn't want it. So it seems like you probably should have been focusing on the more American audiences or audiences outside of China first before you went to go please the Chinese government and giving them a special thanks. And now you have all these tweets talking about how, the actress supported the police in Hong Kong, and of course about the hypocrisy of Disney for always bowing down to the Chinese government. And I know a lot of people in general have just been very sick of these live action remakes and very disappointed in them every time they come out because they don't live up to the original. Regardless, the live action remakes had made a lot of money up until this point. Now that the pandemic's out, people are probably not very interested in actually spending $30 to see this. That's on top of the Disney Plus service that you're already paying for. So when the Disney Plus numbers do come out, I don't think that they're going to make up for the low theater income from the movie, because I just don't see people being interested enough to pay that much to see it. Unless, of course, you're a reviewer or a hardcore Disney fan. This is also like the second movie coming out on Disney Plus that I've heard had really poor, janky editing. And I almost wonder if that has something to do with the pandemic, if like they're just having trouble getting good editors or good production quality, making sure that it looks right. Because I remember one of the biggest problems people had with the Artemis Fowl movie was the fact that it was edited so awfully. You know, that on top of the fact that it was written poorly and that the actors weren't good. But I don't know, I've just been hearing that a lot of new stuff on Disney Plus is getting some pretty bad editing done. Either way, what do you think about this movie's relationship with China? Do you think that they're just trying to localize and make some money from this movie, whereas they already know they're going to lose a lot of money? Do you think that they made the right decision, or if they made a horrible decision that has caused a PR nightmare for them? And if you personally have seen the movie, what did you think about it? Leave all your thoughts in the comments below, that's what it's there for. In other news, guys, we've done it. We finally reached 50,000 subscribers. Woo! So naturally, we will have a 50K live stream, but it will not be tonight, because I got stuff to do. So how about tomorrow? Why don't you join me for a good old-fashioned 50K live stream? I don't know what we're gonna be doing during the stream. We'll probably just talk. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till then, bye! Program restart.